Hi everyone. I guess like me, this lockdown period has drawn out various challenges and reactions in our lives that maybe we were unaware of. In 1 Peter, Peter says the challenges, the trials and the afflictions that life throws up, God uses to refine us. And one of the areas that you may and I may be challenged in during this extended time of lockdown is in the area of patience. Patience with your confinement, patience with your children, patience with your spouse, with patience with being alone, patience with the government, or even when you're trying to get a delivery slot for your groceries, you find no slot is available. Our patience in times like this can be really tested. And the Apostle Paul, in writing to the Colossian church, starts his letter to them with thanksgiving, then proceeds to pray for them. I want to read that prayer from Colossians 1, verses 9 to 14. And so from the day we heard, we have not ceased to pray for you, asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so as to walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to him, bearing fruit in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. May you be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might for all endurance and patience with joy, giving thanks to the Father who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of the saints in light. He has delivered us from the domain of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. In verse 11, Paul says that they prays that they will be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might. What for? To heal somebody, perhaps raise someone from the dead, perform some outstanding miracle. No. He says, he prays to them that they will be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might for all endurance and patience with joy. It wasn't some earth-shattering demonstration of God's power that he was praying for them for, but simply for endurance with patience and with joy. And Paul prays that with all the power at God's disposal, they would endure with patience and with joy. Paul goes on to remind them to give thanks to the Father, because it is he who qualified them and us to share in the inheritance of the saints. That God has delivered us from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of his beloved Son. The Son who has made a way for our redemption and the forgiveness of sins. So during this time of challenge, restriction, not being able to plan ahead, we can draw upon God's power and his might to help us to endure, to be patient in all circumstances, and to do it with all joy. And doing so, being constantly aware of Christ's work on our behalf that provides a glorious inheritance that awaits us. The Apostle Paul writes this way because he knows for all believers we suffer persecution, we experience trials and we experience afflictions. And in 2 Corinthians 4 verse 17, Paul writes this: for this light momentary affliction is preparing us, for us, an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. As we live and speak the gospel in the most difficult times, we're not only being prepared for an eternal weight of glory, but God's grace in the gospel shines even brighter. Throughout this letter, Paul turns her attention to Christ and his redemptive work. And as we pray for grace during this time, let's keep our eyes focused on Christ and his redemptive work. The government is being pressed on what's next. What's the exit strategy? They don't know. But we can have confidence in our sovereign God that he knows. And the challenge for us is that we want to know so that we might make our plans for the future. The scriptures encourage us to live a day at a time. And in this situation of lockdown, I believe it gives us a timely reminder of what James says in James 4, to encourage us to preference our plans with "if the Lord wills." Now, Paul wouldn't be praying for the Colossians to endure with patience if there wasn't a need. We have needs. We probably struggle with patience. So let us be honest with God about our need for patience and for joy during these times, and call upon his gracious power to enable us that by his grace we would endure with patience and with joy.